Welcome back to YellowCard Vanguard. I'm your host, Toku from It's Toku TV on Twitch. Throughout the week, I'm streaming Vanguard on my Twitch channel. We'll be building decks, playtesting, and just having a grand old time, so be sure to swing on by. With new clan collection reveals coming out every day, you know what that means. It's time for a new chapter of clan collection cores. I want to preface this video and the entirety of the series by saying that many of these lists are entirely conceptual and surface deep, and will need your own playtesting to fine-tune. But each of these will aim to provide a way of thinking on how to take your new support in Clan Collection 3 and 4 and put it into a working deck. They won't all be optimized, but I believe they will be a good baseline to build off of. Welcome to Clan Collection Cores. An age-old favorite archetype in the Oracle Think Tank clan, Witches gets a very good buff in Clan Collection. Not only did this Clan Collection bring us some very sought-after promos, it also brought to Oracle Think Tank their first instance of multi-attack in the V Premium format in Yo-Yo. Let's see if the Witch support is which was needed for them to take the top spot for OTT. The new Grade 3 is Venetoid Witch Yo-Yo. Those thighs. On the Vanguard circle or the front row rear circle, at the end of the battle that your Vanguard with which in its card name attacked a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, if it's the first battle of that turn, you can pay the cost. Counterblast 1 and discard 2 to rewrite a grade 3 witch from hand as stand. Also, when she is rolled upon, you can call her to rear or get a protect marker. Venetoid will be the centerpiece of our win con. Getting that extra Vanguard attack is the pressure that OTT was looking for to have any sort of offense. It's a bit unfortunate that it is a rewrite for an attack rather than just a raw restand to keep crits and powers from the first swing for more pressure, but we take what we can get. Next up is the new Grade 2, Jade Witch Tete. Has the effect that when it is discarded from your hand during your turn, and you have a Witch Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 and call this to rear circle. Also has a very defensive effect. When placed on the Guardian Circle, you can choose any number of Sentinels from your hand and discard them. Tete gains 20k shield for each discarded. Did somebody order a way to play around PG Restrict? What a good way to convert your now effectively dead cards in hand into a very good 20k shield value. Not to mention, the first effect is a really good way to negate discard costs, effectively getting a +1 to board and then being able to intercept for really large numbers. Finally, the new Grade 1 Witch, Citrine Witch Mumu. When rolled upon by a witch, you can draw a card. On the rear circle, you can Soul Blast 1 and rest this card to check the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal up to 3 witches. Then, you add 1 of the revealed cards to your hand. If you didn't reveal 3 cards, you put her into Soul. This card is very, very, very good. It is an ideal ride for that free draw 1, but at the same time, it's such a good source of resource as you go through early, mid, and late game, being able to stay on the board and keep converting Soul to more cards in hand, and even when you do need Soul, you can just choose to reveal less than 3 witches to push it into Soul and use said Soul for other actions. Before we go into the list, let's review which witch win con we will play towards in our witch deck. It should be obvious, but we look to overwhelm our opponent with very large attacks, in conjunction with Yo-Yo's Vanguard Restand attack skill. Ideally, the prior turn, we would have used Coco's skill to convert most of our hand to protect markers. Then, on our big turn, we rewrite into 1 copy of Zozo, use her on attack skill to buff our front row 5k for each of our protect markers. Then, use Yo-Yo's skill to rewrite another copy of Zozo in hand and swing with Zozo once more to once again double up on that front row buff. Hopefully, with our juiced up witches, we can completely overpower our opponents. Let's go into the list. Starting at the Grade 3s, we're going to play 4 copies of Wisteria Witch Zozo, as once we go into our multi-attack Vanguard turns, she is who we are looking to ride into. 4 copies of Venetoid Witch Yo-Yo, as the unit that enables said restanding win con, definitely a card we want to protect as well if we don't have a second copy in hand to replace. We also run 4 copies of Scarlet Witch Coco. Coco, though not a great attacker for finishing power, she has great waifu power. That, but between both of her skills to draw, makes her a very good Grade 3 ride for setup and advantage. Her second skill, in conjunction with Nini, allows you to get the draw 2 and conversion 1 turn early. Heading into the Grade 2 slots, we are playing 4 copies of Cobalt Witch Poo-Poo. Also, a promo finally released and is a great boon to the Witch deck. She has the ability that when you ride into her, you can discard 1 to gain a protect marker. Also has the effect on the rearguard circle that you can reveal any number of sentinels from your hand to gain 5k for each on attack. Between 2 Zozo swings and Poo-Poo's own swing, each sentinel in hand will grant us 15k worth of power, and that adds up very quickly. Poo-Poo is our best attacker to have in the other column, while Yo-Yo is on the other. We also run 4 copies of Sea Blue Witch Nini. Nini's ability to count as a grade 3 in Soul while we are on a Witch Vanguard, as stated before, allows us to use Coco 1 turn early. Nini's other ability to stack our deck allows us to hopefully guarantee at least 1 critical going into our double Vanguard attack turn, or at least in conjunction with Coco, allow us to draw the 2 best cards from the top 3 and drive check the 3rd. Lastly, in our grade 2 lineup, we are running 4 copies of Jade Witch today. Honestly, in my eyes, despite 2 very good skills, seems to be the weakest link of the grade 2 lineup, as more times than not, the first skill won't be live to become a new attacker, since ideally we want our front row to already be occupied, and the second skill is only valuable against certain matchups. That being said, it still has a lot of applications in the deck that makes it worth considering for the time being. In our grade 1 lineup, we run 4 copies of Citrine Witch Mumu. She is our ideal grade 1 ride. She is also our engine to find more witch pieces. If I could run 12 for my grade 1 lineup, I would. The soul cost may be an issue, but between Nini and the re-rides that Yo-Yo gives us, I think we'll be more than okay. We also run 3 copies of Sprout Witch Roro. To be honest, for no other reason than it having a witch name to improve consistency on having witch names to discard off of Coco, having more witches to reveal off of Mumu, and I guess in some opportunities when using Yo-Yo's rewrite skill can make your board a bit stronger going into the second attack. With the last 2 slots of our deck, we run 2 copies of Oracle Guardian Gemini. Gemini provides both countercharge and soul for the deck, both resources that the deck goes through very heavily. Our trigger lineup is 12 criticals, opting towards the critical sentinel since through the witch playstyle and specifically Coco and Poo-Poo, we're able to get protect markers very easily. So the offensive prowess of those 4 extra crits in conjunction with 4 drive checks a turn can be what witch is needed for their final push. We are also playing 4 Heal Guardians for their defensive ability in the early game, but once again, if for some reason we get damage denied, we can also plop it down a grade 3 to gain a damage to use Coco's first really strong skill. If you don't like this list, don't fret. There are some really cool side options you can look towards for your witch deck. One very cool option is to use Godhawk Ichibiyoshi as your starter Vanguard, and play a 5-card engine between 4 copies of Miko of the Mirror Moon Sae and 1 copy of Goddess of the Crescent Moon Tsukuyomi. With how heavy Soul Blast costs are in this deck, the +1 soul we get from riding into Sae turn 1 is very much welcome. Not to mention that just by starting our turn on the grade 1 Tsukuyomi, we can draw for turn, then before we ride we can use Tsukuyomi's skill to add to our hand the best of 5 cards from the top and discard the worst card in our hand, providing to us a once per game filter but sometimes searches missing pieces. Obviously, we can also run Topaz Witch PP if one of the grade 2 witches don't match your fancy. Between riding PP over Mumu for a draw, then Coco over PP for a draw too, that's a lot of draws. Finally, we can also introduce another assist to our win con in Victorious Deer. This is fairly cheesy, but it does get the job done. Even if we were to go first, because Nini exists, we are able to have 2 grade 3s in our soul and can use Victorious Deer to get a very early double trigger against our opponent. Even without Nini, with how much rewriting we do thanks to Yo-Yo, we'll also be able to pay for Victorious Deer's skill in the late game as well. It might be worth considering. In conclusion, I think OTT got a very nice upgrade to their V Premium decks. I do think that Witches will be the way to go going forward if you do play OTT in V Premium. Time and time again, the best way to win in Vanguard is with multi-attack, and the new support provides Witches with that 1 extra attack. Do I think it'll make a huge dent in the meta? No, but I do think the deck is sweet, and so are Yo-Yo's thighs. In any case, this has been it from me on this episode of Clan Collection Cores. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this and like the video, as it does help us motivate us to keep the gears going. Leave a comment down below as well, as every little bit helps the channel. This has been Toku from YellowCard Vanguard channel. Toku out.